Okay, hey everyone. I just thought that today I would go over the hunter talents and glyphs so that, anyone who's just starting to play hunter or isn't sure about them, can have at least one opinion. A lot of people believe different things about the talents. Some are better in situations, some in others. But anyways, I play BM and MM for PvP. A lot of people are playing survival right now because of the trap cooldown, which yes, it's nice, but it's just too cheap and not fun. I would rather actually be able to kill something instead of having to trap like that. I mean, it just survival in PvP just does not offer any fun for me. So, anyways, in Beast Mastery, I use Post Haste, which disengage also frees you from all movement and parrying effects, increases your movement speed by 60% for 8 seconds, which is really nice when you're trying to kite a melee or just get away from something. Some people go with narrow escape, which I don't like as much because it does not free you from slows and root effects like post haste does. Sure, it drops a web that roots everyone around you for 8 seconds, but the trade-off isn't there. I mean, you would have to macro master's call into it or pop it at the same time, something like that. And just no. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Chimera. That's mostly a PVE talent. I mean, it doesn't help you very much in PvP unless you have like a fives team, and it's gonna drag on. Then the reduced cooldown would probably be some help. Um, Binding Shot, that's the one I prefer. I mean, it is wonky. They're supposed to be fixing it, so hopefully that actually happens. But it stuns everyone around, although it's magic, so anti-magic shell and cloak of shadows will, might as well just not be doing anything, because that can ignore it. The Wyvern Sting has a cast time. It is castable while moving, but that just sucks. And if you even sneeze on the target, it gets broke. So Intimidation, if the cooldown was shorter, this would be the talent everyone would take. It is really nice as BM, but I don't use it anymore. Just because it says 3 seconds, and it DRs so quickly, and it's just one person, when I could get a whole bunch of people for, more than that with Binding Shot. Alright, next here. Exhilaration, honestly, I don't see anyone taking this. I mean, maybe some bad hunters who are like, oh, great heal. No. It's supposed to be getting a buff, so we'll see. Iron Hawk, yeah, I take Iron Hawk when when I'm doing MM, if I'm going to have a healer with me. Just because MM doesn't really have any heals, but as BM, Spirit Bond is the way to go. I use the Spirit Beast. Spirit Bond with Spirit Mend is just insane. I mean, I've out-healed healers before, which is pretty bad. Let's see, steady focus. I don't even know why that's there. That's not even an option. I don't know anyone that's ever taken that ever. It's a useless talent. I've never seen a hunter use it. I don't even, I forget it's there. Dire Beast is what I use for Beast Mastery. It just, it's another pet. When I feign death, it's another mob for them to target. Also, when you're spinning flag, that's really good as well. Because it's another mob hitting people in case you and your pet get CC'd. Alright, next is the Thrill of the Hunt. That's a pretty good talent. I use it in MM. It's pretty much mandatory for MM because of the shorter cast time and reduced focus cost for Arcane Shot. But it says you have a 6% chance per 10 focus spent on focus costing attacks to trigger Thrill of the Hunt. Thrill of the Hunt reduces the focus cost of your next 3 arcane shots, aim shots, or multi-shots by 20. So, BM, if you're BGing, I wouldn't use, yeah, I wouldn't use it. I would still stay with Dire Beast. That might be okay for arenas. I stick with Dire Beast. Let's see, Murder of Crows. I do use that one just because the other options right now are kind of not as good. I mean, Murder of Crows, everyone everyone that's not a hunter hates it. You know, crows flying down and whapping you in the face. It also can spin flag. You can't take a flag while under attack, and rogues cannot cloak it. So they'll vanish. They'll have like they're like 2 or 3 seconds of immunity, and then they'll pop out if they have that on them. So it's really nice. Blink strikes used to take that, don't anymore, just because adaption. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Kind of makes it redundant. So it's better to have Murder of Crows for base sitting. Stampede. Now Stampede's getting a buff next patch, so we might end up switching it around there, but still for base sitting, but still Murder of Crows. Stampede has no place in arenas anymore. I mean, just arena RBG, just because it only does 25% of the normal damage. Glaive Toss. Now this next tier, all of them are kind of okay. Glaive Toss is like the default. I always use Glaive Toss. I'm trying to kill people. It slows. It's a nice spinning mechanic. It's nice. Power Shot. If I need to knock anyone off a ledge or anything like that, Power Shot is definitely something to go with. You can couple that with Aspect of the Fox, so you can better aim, because you can cast while moving with Aspect of the Fox. Otherwise, you cannot cast Power Shot while moving, and it is a long cast with a 4 to 5 second cooldown. It does a lot of damage, though, which is nice. Barrage, that one is just kind of goes haywire, spreads everywhere. If you're just trying to hit a bunch of people, sure, go ahead, but I wouldn't bother with it because the cast time can't do anything else and has to be channeled. So in this tier, I would stick with a Glaive Toss or Power Shot depending on what you were doing. Alright, the new Warlords of Draenor talents for level 100. Exotic munitions. For MM, I like exotic munitions because I don't have to stop and stand still, in order to gain focus back. So, and then, frozen ammo. It's always frozen ammo. You forget that incendiary and poison ammo exist. If you're PvPing and you are MM and you are using exotic munitions, use frozen ammo only. And then you will want a spider pet. Some people will use warp stalkers or something like that, but you can use a spider pet if you're interested in, having additional slows, if you're fighting something that's going to be dispelling your slow or something. But most people use a mortal wounds pet, which is what I use. I carry a spider and a mortal wounds pet with me, like one of the birds from Talador, the big red pretty birds. They also come in blue. But focusing shot, I've used it a little bit in PvE, but for PvP, to make you stop and stand still, it's just not worth it to me. I mean, it's debatable. I mean, maybe someone else likes it, but I don't. And then adaption. Adaption, if you're BM, there is no other option. If you are a hunter and you are playing BM and you do not take adaption, you are bad. You need to delete your tune because you are just awful. Adaption for BM. It is the only talent. It is just so much better than all the other ones. Really, it is. Okay, let's see. Glyphs. For glyphs, I use Glyph of Liberation. When you disengage, you are healed for 4% of your total health, which is really nice. That coupled with Spirit Bond and Spirit Mend make for some OP-ass healing. Explosive Trap. It is like, it's awesome for spinning the flag. I mean, you can't do any better than Explosive Trap. I mean, I guess you could go with the Snake Trap, but I would just stick with Explosive Trap. It's knockback, it's wonderful. I use Glyph of Master's Call, which, if you're soloing an area, soloing an area, I mean, like, if you're protecting a base, you're going to be kiting people. They're going to try and kill you if they can't CC you, so you're going to want to be able to get out of slows, which increases the duration of Master's Call by 4 seconds. Master's Call is dispellable, which sucks, but what can you do, right? Alright, that's what I use for majors. For minors, they don't really matter too much, but I would recommend Aspect of the Beast, which is nice, so that feral druids, or any kind of druid that goes in a kitty form, and hunters cannot track you, which is nice. Glyph of Play Dead. I do use that. Um, just because if I'm trying to get away, I can put my pet on passive and then feign death and then mount up and run off. So that that kind of helps getting from point A to point B. So I don't have to put my pet away, dismiss it, then feign death and then mount up and run. So it just makes for easier getaway. Okay, I want to take a minute and talk about some glyphs that some people use. I see some hunters using glyph of animal bond. You don't want that if you're base sitting, because it doesn't affect the healing you do to yourself. It says while your pet is active, all healing done to you, and your pet is increased by 10%. That does not mean the healing you do to yourself, like spirit bond or spirit mend or the disengage liberation glyph does not. There's no increase to that. It was confirmed by Blizzard, confirmed by Blue on the forums. You can look it up if you want, but yeah, I wouldn't use that. Glyph of camouflage. I can see where people would think that would be good for base sitting, but it's not. It's really not, because you use camouflage when you're base sitting as kind of a last second heal. When you deterrence, you would camouflage to get yourself a few ticks back of healing. So, I mean, going stealth will really hamper you trying to move away, and then anything will take you out of it. Whereas you're a little more resilient if you can leave it normal, where you can move around faster. Um, let's see. Mirror blades. That is good. I use that sometimes. I use that in my MM spec sometimes. Pathfinding. I don't ever want to see a hunter with pathfinding. That is useless. Please don't have it. You are bad if you have it. I mean, other than that, for base sitting, there's not much else that. I mean, if you have anything crazy like distracting shot, then what the fuck are you doing in an rbg? But yeah. So hopefully this helped some people a little bit. I know I didn't talk anything about survival because I don't really play survival. I use the same talents for survival that I would for MM. So I don't know, if you were wondering about survival, then same talents that I use for MM, which I went over those. But thanks for watching.